My dear brothers and sisters, we are in the third Sunday of Lent. In today's Gospel, Jesus is asked a question about the Galileans whose blood Pilate had mingled with their sacrifices. And the question to them was, do you think that these Galileans were worse sinners than all the other Galileans because they suffered in this way? And Jesus answered them, saying, no, I tell you, unless you repent, you will all likewise perish. Now let us reflect on this question of suffering, especially when you ask God or ask yourself, why am I having this? There are a lot of innocent people being killed in the war between Russia and Ukraine. There are a lot of young children dying of cancer. Very pious people we are, yet we have problems in our families. How do we reconcile these? How do we understand these? Simple question, is our sufferings from God? The answer would be both yes and no. Let me first discuss with you the yes case. The Old Testament teaches us that God gives us punishment so that we would come back to Him. We wouldn't go astray. He teaches us in the hard way. While with Jesus, it is not the case. Jesus presents Father as someone who is more loving, more merciful. Therefore, in Jesus, we realize God is more loving and He wouldn't want any sufferings for us. He would not like any of us to suffer. And if that is the case, how do you understand the suffering that we are having? I would like to reflect with you maybe 3 points which would help us to understand the suffering that we go through. Beginning with the story of Job. In the book of Job, we see God is proud of Job and he calls Satan and talks to Satan proudly about Job. And Satan tells God that you have given Job everything that is good. Give him something bad, then you will see the real color of Job. Therefore, God permits, God allows Satan to tempt Job, and Job has all the sufferings possible in this world. What is important is Job who withstands all the sufferings and still believes in God and tells thanks be to God. When God gave me all that is good, I took it happily. Should I not take those bad things as well happily, trusting in His goodness? And coming out victorious in the temptations, Job is blessed 2 times. Therefore, the first reason for our sufferings could be we may be beloved in the eyes of God. God is proud of us. God will never give us temptation beyond our limitations. And if God is tempting us, God is allowing Satan to tempt us, it is to raise us up high. The second reason I see in the light of the Gospel according to St. John, chapter 15, verse 13. There is no greater love than this, that a person would lay down his life for the sake of his friends. Many times we take upon sufferings on ourselves for the sake of others. Cross is the very clear example of this. Jesus took all the sufferings upon himself for the sake of his friends, his brothers, his sisters. That's us. The third reason, maybe we are seeing the world in a smaller sense. Living here for 70 years, 80 years, it's like a period of examination. The third reason is presented in the letter to Philippians, chapter 3, verse 20. St. Paul says that our homeland is in heaven and we are all running a race towards our homeland. He confirms this in his second letter to Timothy, chapter 4, verse 7, saying, I have fought a good fight, I have finished the race, I have kept the faith. My dear brothers and sisters, all of us are running towards our goal, our homeland, that is heaven. I remember One of my friends died of cancer just before his diaconate ordination. Everybody was upset for the reason God called him to be his priest, but then just before his diaconate ordination, he died. And there, another friend of mine consoled us, saying, maybe his speed was greater than ours. Maybe he had wings that he could fly and reach his destination sooner. That explains, my dear friends, the deaths sometimes we are not able to comprehend. But when we see the life in total, life here on earth plus life there in heaven, we realize that death is not an end, but it is a beginning to the new life, the real life. Therefore, we can summarize saying God usually does not punish us, but surely when we go astray, when we become fruitless, we may receive death as a suffering and we may end up in hell. The Lenten season is an appropriate time to examine our lives and make it fruitful. May God bless us all.